Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley, and I am joined by a special guest, Mr. Jonathan Ward, co-host of the OneFiveSeven show, YouTube channel that covers not only Alabama, but also Auburn. And Jonathan covers the Alabama side of things. Jonathan, thanks for coming on. Looking forward to hanging out for a few minutes.
Hey man, I appreciate you bringing me on. This is an awesome experience so far. I mean, I'm excited to just talk and discuss this upcoming game for sure, man.
Every Monday we go into the scouting report. I do my homework. I do my research. But the thing is, it drives me nuts when I look at like mainstream media or certain beat writers, and they try to cover another program. And how much football can you watch in a week? You watch every single Alabama game. You are dialed in. You're tuned in, just like we are here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. Things people say about Tennessee football drive me nuts. So what better way to jump into the Alabama scouting report than to bring on somebody that spends every single Saturday watching that team? We're going to get rolling. We're going to dive into it. As always, guys, go ahead and smash that thumbs up just below the video. If you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, you're wondering what this is, what are you idiots doing? We're not experts. We're not insiders. We are fans just like you. That's what I love about your show. You guys are fans. You're not pretending you're something special. You're the OneFiveSeven show. You are a fan show. But if you're new here, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click that bell for notifications. But let's just jump right into it. Let's talk a little bit about Alabama football. I was trying to find the clip, the audio clip. I couldn't find it. I listened to way more Nick Saban today than I really care to ever listen to.
Yeah.
But after the loss to Texas A&M, there was a interview with him, the coach's show, where he said Alabama, I think, I'm paraphrasing here, no longer, we're not an elite program right now. So what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts overall about this team this year compared to the entire time that Nick Saban's been there?
Well, this year I feel like it's a different team. This is not your typical like elite dominant Alabama team. I think everybody that has watched Alabama so far this season has seen that. But this team Nick Saban has been complaining about this team more or less complaining about this team since the spring. And basically I feel like these guys are just kind of going through the motions this year, when in previous years they're on their game. They are, balling out. They're trying to make a name for themselves. And I feel like this team may be just trying to represent the Alabama brand and not set their own identity. So I don't know. I'm suspect of this team. Do I think they're good? Yeah, I think they're a good team. Are they as dominant as previous years? That's still questionable. We've lost games before and we've won national championships, and this year may not be any different. It could be totally different. There's still games to be played, and I'm pretty excited for it. This is it's a tough schedule so far. I feel like it's a good SEC run this year for sure.
Do you think some of that is, I'll go ahead and say it, a spoiled fan base? And Nick Saban, when I was listening to him today, kind of talked about not necessarily the fan base, but the players. There are players on this football team, this Alabama team. It's weird saying this football team, and I'm talking about Alabama, but hey, this is your show. This is your time to shine. And he kind of talked about, hey, we got players on this team that have never lost a football game, and they have to find a way to adapt and learn and get better.
That's true. And I think that this past week with Mississippi State, we kind of bounced back, played a solid defensive game. The defense really kind of showed out, especially in the red zone area. That's kind of where we've been struggling more or less. We've had that bend but don't break defense, and I think we kind of maybe went over the hump a little bit in this past game. Hoping we can continue the intensity, with for not 60 minutes. It's a tough team. This Tennessee. I've been watching some of their games here and there, and this is a totally different team than what we've seen before with Tennessee. So I'm excited to see what happens this game for sure.
Yeah, I was talking to a regular listener of the show this week, and we were both kind of laughing about the quote from Saban saying, we're not an elite program. It's like the greatest football coach of all time. Like I'll be the first to admit it. I don't care. He is Nick Saban.
From an unbiased, I know I'm a fan of Alabama. From an unbiased, he is probably the greatest coach of all time. And I'm just saying that as a college football fan.
I really don't think anybody can question that. But we were kind of laughing, saying, this isn't an elite program, and it's like, a lot of Tennessee fans were laughing about the Alabama loss, and me and this other guy, we were talking, and we were like, I'm glad Tennessee does not play them this week because you don't want Alabama coming off of a
No.
loss. But let's get into a little bit more specifics on this Alabama team takes on Tennessee Saturday night inside of, I don't even know the name of your stadium. I was going to say
Bryant Denny
Neyland Stadium. I'm so
Bryant
used to
Denny.
saying Neyland.
Yeah,
Bryant Denny Stadium.
it's Bryant Denny, and I think eventually it's going to be Bryant Denny Saban Stadium. I'm just throwing a wild guess out there. I'm just taking a
It
guess.
could be Kroger Field. You never know.
It could be. It may be.
Let's talk a little bit about the Alabama offense. First, it's weird. So many people think Alabama, they think Nick Saban, they think defense. Times they are a changing, and that's why I like the Josh Heupel hire at Tennessee. But this Alabama offense, first in the SEC in scoring 45 points a game, third in the SEC in yards per game, 482, and that's good for 17th in the country. Tell us a little bit about this Alabama offense, where it starts, what Tennessee fans should be looking for on Saturday.
So throughout this season, you've seen a lot of people say that we haven't missed a beat on offense, and I feel like that may be a little, little sketchy. Bryce Young, obviously, he's quarterback. He's a great starter, great passer, but he doesn't have the, I don't want to say knowledge of the offense because he does a phenomenal job of running the offense, but he doesn't have, I guess, that downfield threat so far that we've seen over the last couple of years. I saw a stat on ESPN that was, don't quote me on it. I want to say he was like 4 for like 28 or something of passes for 20 plus yards. It was low for what we've seen over the last couple of years. But I think you'll see a little bit more shift going to the running game again, classic Alabama style, with Brian Robinson, is our feature back, and I think you'll see him a lot more as the receiving corps is, I don't want to say living up to par, but they're not getting the yardage that we've seen the last 2-3 years. That with the elite talent that we've had for a couple years now, this may be a different receiver corps, obviously, but they're still kind of finding their way into the plays. But I do want to say, Jamison Williams, the guy that transferred from Ohio State, fast as lightning. I mean, he is so quick, and if you can get him the ball, 9 times out of 10, he's outrunning the guys. I mean, it's going to happen. I think Mechie gets a lot of the coverage from a wide receiver just because he's been there for a few years. But I think that's why Jamison Williams is getting the touches that he's getting. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
What do you think? I told you how we're going to do it. It's about 10, 15 minutes, bounce it out, and then we get into it. It's like, oh, there's too many questions I want to ask you. So we'll just go as long as we feel like going. But you mentioned a transfer from Ohio State. And, the transfer portal, I talk all the time on this channel how it's changing college football.
Oh, yeah.
And from the standpoint of a Tennessee fan and where Tennessee is at they're in a massive rebuild, limited scholarship players. Something to point out, the Ole Miss game this week, Tennessee at one point was handing the ball off to a walk-on running back. You had a walk-on tackle and a former walk-on at guard and a center that it's unbelievable the number of players on that field that were former walk-ons. And, they have a long way to go, but I think that Josh Heupel can utilize the transfer portal. But a lot of people complain about it because they say teams like Alabama, teams like Georgia, the rich are going to get richer because you have a need at wide receiver. Well, you just go plug and play. You go to Ohio State.
It's free agency in college football, and that's all it is.
Do you think it benefits a team like Alabama?
I think as long as you have an elite recruiter to bring those guys in, I think they'll go just about anywhere. But you see the offenses and how they've changed, and who's at the top of the list mainly. Who's going to give me the most touches? Who's going to give me the ball the most? And I think Georgia, Alabama, and a few others in the last few years have definitely been at the top of those lists. And so you get guys like wide receivers and elite running backs and stuff that want to come to a solid program that they know they're going to play with us elite players. I'm not saying this as a Alabama fan. I'm saying it just as a college football fan. That's what you're going to see over the next few years and we'll see how this evolves with the free agency of college football.
That's exactly what it is. Let's switch gears. Let's move over to the defense. Again, talking about the offense, first in the SEC, 45 points a game. You move over to the defense, they're only giving up 20.14 points a game. Really good against the run, also good against the pass. It's just Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
What do we need to watch for? I think I was looking at some stats, some player stats.
I got a name off the top of my list right
you
now.
got a player on the defense that
Oh,
already
yeah.
has 7 sacks.
Yep. Will Anderson coming off the end. This last game, Mississippi State, he had 4 sacks, which I saw a thing that said that they hadn't been touched since Derek Thomas. And I mean, for him to be grouped into that kind of category is awesome. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm glad he's at Alabama, not some other team. That's for sure.
What else do we need to watch on this Alabama defense? I think Tennessee, coming into this game, man, they're beat all to pieces. They're absolutely beat all to pieces on the offensive line. Tyon Evans starting running back out last week against Ole Miss. Hendon Hooker goes down late. Josh Heupel updated the media today, said he's day-to-day. I don't expect Hendon Hooker to play. I really don't. But if there's a weakness in this Alabama defense, what would you say that is?
As crazy as it sounds with Will Anderson being on the defensive end, I think we're having a problem when it comes to power run game right up the middle. The D tackles are having a problem getting off blocks and getting into the backfield. I feel like we've seen people run down our throat, and we're lucky. Like Florida, for example, we were lucky to get away with a win from them, and all they did was it was ground game the whole time. So I would say the weakness would have to be the defensive line, short of Will Anderson being on the end.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Tennessee's offense if Hendon Hooker doesn't give it a go.
I'll say I was very impressed with Tennessee playing against Missouri with the rushing yards that they put up. I was like, oh man, this may be a good game coming up. I mean, with the third Saturday in October, I was like, oh my God, we're actually going to have a really good close game. So let me ask you, what do you feel like, from a Tennessee standpoint, do you feel like a solid ground game is what we're going to see?
Well, there's just so many factors that play into it because number one, I think for Tennessee to have success, the biggest problem I had with the game plan against Ole Miss, Tennessee didn't let Hendon Hooker run the football in the first half. And that really helps open up the offense. But number two, you're without Tyon Evans. Yeah. Tyon Evans is an absolute stud. I mean, going all throughout spring practice, spring camp, all we heard about was Jabari Small, how great he was, solid running back, and he's good. But Tyon Evans was banged up. We didn't hear a whole lot about him because he wasn't giving it a full go. And then the more we've seen throughout this, he is a special kind of player. He is so good. He's electric. He runs physical, but he's also got quickness. If he's not healthy, I don't like Tennessee's ability to run the football. I mean, they struggled against Ole Miss to run the football. And they tried to run it up the middle a lot. It didn't work. Ole Miss has no defense at all. So it was frustrating to watch that game and see Tennessee not be able to move the ball. I think Saturday, typically when I do these scouting reports, I give my prediction. I'm going to hold that out for tomorrow, Tuesday night, live stream, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. I'll give my prediction then. Tennessee, I just don't feel Tennessee has no chance. They have absolutely no. I didn't feel it going into the season. I don't feel it now. But it's bad enough. They're lacking at certain positions with talent, but depth is the problem.
Now, from what I've seen, like you guys have had a lot of people transfer out over the off season and early on. So I mean that's definitely hurt. From your guys' perspective. But I mean I still feel like Josh Heupel, to me, honestly, was a good hire. Offensive scheme totally different, which y'all were used to with Pruitt. And I feel like you have to have a modern style offense in today's college football. So I think he's a good hire.
Honestly. I mean, what he did to Missouri and South Carolina, and that's the difference where Tennessee's at versus where Alabama's at. As a Tennessee fan, you expect to beat a Missouri and a South Carolina, right, but that's not always been the case over the last few years. But to go out and dominate those teams, that's positive. That's encouragement. I like what Josh Heupel's doing. I like the way he's rebuilt the culture. It's going to come down to recruiting. Can he get the Jimmies and Joes to go along with the X's and O's? Because I feel like this is the best coaching staff they've had in a long time. Well, let's get into predictions and we'll wrap this thing up. Tennessee goes in Saturday night as a 29-point underdog. Over under set at 67.5. Give us some maybe some keys to victory for Alabama, what you're expecting, and give us a score prediction as we wrap this thing up.
Well, I'm hoping that we can come out and throw the ball effectively. We've had some problems with that, definitely in the red zone. And some of the play calling may have been suspect some. But I think if we can consistently throw the ball, have good catches, receivers make good, clean catches, and make them count when they do get the ball, I think we can definitely push the field pretty easily. That said, I hope we run the ball effectively too. Brian Robinson has been on a tear lately with rushing, and I feel like he's going to be a key factor in the game. So, I'm just going to probably throw a score out, maybe like a 41-17 kind of deal, something somewhere around there. I could be told. My predictions on the OneFiveSeven show have been just out. Throw
it's
them out
been
the
a
window.
crazy year for football in general.
When it's
you're trying
crazy.
to make predictions.
It's crazy. Yeah. Just throw them out the window. But I'm 41-17, 44-21, something like that maybe.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and doing this. The scouting report's way easier when I bring in somebody that actually follows the other team. And, some of our fans, I told them you were going to come on for the tailgate show about an hour or so before kickoff. And they're like, don't let those Alabama people in. I'm like, look, man, it's a good dude. Guys, be friendly, be nice. And I want to ask our listeners, go subscribe to the 157 show. I know we got a lot of Alabama fans in the chat. I'm going to put the link in the description below, but you can also just go to YouTube, search the 157. It's 157, all written out, all together, one word, show. It'll pop right up on YouTube. Give them a subscribe. Go subscribe. And even if you're a Tennessee fan, let's show the 157 show the power of the Talkin' VAWLS Nation. Go give them a sub. I don't care if you ever watch a video. Give them a sub. Yep. Build them up, because one of the biggest compliments we get on this show is from other fan bases saying, man, I wish my team had something like this. Because, I know I said it at the beginning. It's kind of a spill. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're fans just like you. It's the truth. It drives me nuts. I love that you came on with the jersey. We were kind of joking before we start to hit record. You're like, I got to rep the jersey, man. Yeah. I hate people that put on a polo or a suit jacket and they pretend they're media. That's BS, man.
Yep.
We're fans.
You got to represent it. Unique. You got to represent.
Yes. We're fans. The emotion, like people have told me before, you guys shouldn't go live right after the game. You guys are so emotional. Exactly.
That's the point.
It's like the Talking Dead. You watch The Walking Dead and the main character dies. You want somebody to talk about it, so you tune into the Talking Dead. That's what we do. That's what you guys do. One day you're going to grow up. You're going to put on your big boy pants and you're going to start doing live streams, and you guys are going to take off. You bring a lot to the table. So again, I appreciate you coming on. Throw some plugs out there. Do you have social media, Twitter, Facebook? Tell people where they can find you, your co-host, or the show in general.
Yeah. So our main thing right now is just Twitter. We're working on growing that consistently. Every time we put out an episode, we immediately put something on Twitter, so you guys can easily find the link to that. It's at 157 show, I believe. I'll be honest, I didn't set it up. He set it up, so I'm trying to make sure. We have two different roles here, but I want to say it's at 157 show. And also, like Boogie said, you can definitely find us on YouTube at the 157 show, all spelled out. You'll see it. You can't miss it. We're one of the only ones on there. But we are definitely Auburn, Alabama. We try to do them together. Just have some fun with it, man. We're definitely working out kinks and all that stuff, having fun with it. So I encourage you guys, man, if y'all want to, just please come on over, check us out. Give us a subscribe, drop comments, whatever you want to do, man. I appreciate it. And Boogie, thank you for bringing me on here and allowing me to join you guys.
A lot of people reach out and they want to get big. They want to get big quick on YouTube, but I only respect people that put in the work. And you asked me when you started, what do I need to do? And I laid out a lot of things for you and said this, and this. And you're doing it. And I respect that. I respect the grind. I respect the hustle. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. As always, if you have not done so yet, go ahead and smash that thumbs up right below the video. It helps the channel, plays the analytics, all that good stuff. I'm going to put a link to the 157 show in the description below. Go give them a sub. Show them that Talkin' VAWLS love. Even if you hate Alabama, you can still show them a little love and appreciate what they're trying to do. But that is going to wrap it up for this one. He's Jonathan. I'm Boogie. This is the Talkin' VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
The songs how like me, poets